Welcome to Wasted Local Talent.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Daniel.
I'm Josiah.
And today we're wasting our talent with...
Hey guys, I'm Psypherix.
So, Psypherix, like I said a little bit ago before we started, I didn't know how to pronounce the name until you said it. And I don't want to say how I thought it was, because it was way off.
How did you think it went? How do you think it sounded?
I kind of used it as like the first P as like an F.
Okay.
Like a Psypherix or Psypherix.
Okay.
Like I don't know. It was weird. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I grew up and I'm actually West Virginia native, born in West Virginia. I live right now in Bridgeport, but I grew up in Dodge County. If you guys know where that's at.
Yeah.
I went there. I grew up there mostly. I went to, of course, the middle school, the high school. No, I went to the middle school, and then I went to Bridgeport High School when I graduated 2016. Bridgeport High School, and I am currently still in Fairmont State right now.
Oh, nice.
So, given Corona, I don't know if I'm going to go back next semester, but that's beside the point. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll try
all this craziness.
We'll try to keep the coronavirus talk to a minimum, because the last two that this is only the third interview that we've done since all this crap hit, and it's like the majority of our conversations is about it. And honestly, I'm just over it. So let's just not even talk about it. That's the only we're going to mention coronavirus today.
Yeah.
That's it. So if you're tuning in to hear some coronavirus updates, sorry, you're not going to get them here.
A fellow Bridgeport graduate, though. That's kind of cool. Although I graduated long before you. Now I feel old.
What year did you graduate?
2008.
Oh, okay.
Man,
My mom used to teach at Bridgeport.
I thought you were going to say my mom graduated in
No.
2000.
My mom, no. My mom taught at Bridgeport, in Bridgeport. She left in 2015, I want to say. 2015, sounds about right. She's been teaching there, dude, since 2008, I think. You might know her, Mrs. Davis, your teacher.
I know that name. I'm terrible with memory.
That's all right.
I do know that name.
That's all right.
So tell us about what you do behind the persona.
Yeah, so I've been a huge fan of electronic music for a while. Honestly, since about maybe sixth grade. Yeah, sixth grade in middle school sounds about right. I like to create electronic music. I kind of have dabbled in it for a while since, like I said, sixth grade of middle school. But the biggest thing that I really got me into it was, are we going into origin stories? Or is this origin story time?
I mean, yeah, you can
do it.
Yeah,
all
go
right.
for it.
All right. So the craziest thing with it was I'm kind of a huge nerd, computer nerd. I especially comics and other stuff too. Like I just like that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Video games and all kinds of stuff like that. So the biggest thing that got me into this, I want to say, was when I was in seventh grade, I want to say, about 2010, that movie Tron Legacy came out. And I don't know if you guys saw it. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, looking back at it now, I mean, it was the plot was pretty bad. But try telling like 11-year-old me that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because I just was blown away by the CGI, and I was going into it because, like I said, computer nerd, and I thought, oh boy, CGI, world inside of a computer, right? But the CGI didn't stick out to me. What stuck out to me was the score, and I hated like orchestral music. Like I really wasn't big into orchestral stuff. at the time I was real big into like alternative music and metal and things like that. Green Day, Nirvana, a lot of that old stuff. That's what I was really, really big into. And some classic rock too. Whenever Dad and I work in the garage and stuff. But biggest thing that got me was that score. And so I went home and I researched like who the heck made this score. And when I looked it up, when those credits were rolling, I saw the name Daft Punk, and I'm like, who the heck calls themselves that?
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? Like, this dude is so full of himself. He goes and calls himself that, right? So I came home and I looked up Daft Punk, and I come to find out that it's two dudes from France. And I go and I download their discography to kind of listen to just kind of get an idea of like who they are. And I'm like, well, geez, they got disco over here. They got some like rock stuff over here. They got some, they're kind of all over the place with their music style. I thought that was pretty cool. And I really, really dug the mask that they wore. But like, I'm not like trying to like rip into that. I'll get into that, how I got into the whole robot persona later. Mm-hmm. But I really dug that music because you have in this like video game sounding music mixed with this like orchestral thing. I was like, what the heck is this? I've never heard this before. Mm-hmm. I've heard like some synthesizers and some of the like classic rock music that my dad and I will listen to sometimes, but like not to this extent, not a whole score basically done with synthesizers,
Yeah.
So I downloaded the whole discography onto my MP3 player. I unfortunately I was not rich enough at the time to have an iPod. It was like a 256 megabyte like USB stick that played music. It was dollar store level stuff, but I mean, heck, man, it did pretty well. I managed to pack the entire Daft Punk discography on it there in full. I had to delete every other song off of it. But anyway, I had that whole discography on loop. Family, we were going on a vacation. My family and our extended family on my dad's side was going on the beach. Usually we would go to the beach to celebrate the graduation of a family member. I forget whose it was at this time. I want to say it was my one cousin's. Forget what year. I think it was maybe him, Wiley, I think. Anyway, so I was listening to music on there, and I had my laptop open, and my one cousin's at the time boyfriend told me, he was like, dude, like, how do you know who Daft Punk is? And I'm like, well, I was like a huge fan of like the work they did there. And he was like showing me all these other artists and things like that. Like this dude like just whipped open his MacBook, man. And he had just like all this like music from like all this electronic music that he had on his iTunes. But the one artist that really, really stuck out to me the most. And I don't know if you can actually just, I'm not going to lie. I did not plan this, but for guys,
Dead Mal.
I didn't even plan that. That's funny. Yeah, it was Deadmau5. And I imagined myself, if I were to make this kind of music, like what it would sound like. When I listened to Deadmau5's work, I was like, dang, that's like pretty dang close to like what's running around in my head, So that kind of sparked my interest and downloaded some programs and stuff onto my really, really crappy Dell Inspiron netbook thing that ran Vista, and it was a god-awful piece of garbage that I still keep in a box as for relic's sake. If it wasn't for nostalgia, that thing would be in a dumpster. But poor laptop, overheated all the time, blue screens to death. It was horrible. Anyway, made some like really basic music with it. Like the best way I can explain what my music sounded like, and I was limited by the hardware of this laptop more or less than anything, because it was like an Intel Atom. It had like 1 gig of RAM in it and hardly any hard drive space. It was a horrible laptop. Now I look back at it. Anyway, best way I can explain it was it was like chiptune music, I guess. Like the original NES kind of music is what I could make, right? Because I was limited by this laptop. But eventually, I upgraded, got an actual MacBook. But my back to the original thing there, my science teacher noticed me always playing with my netbook. I was that weird kooky kid who brought my laptop with me. I kept it in my backpack, but like, dude, the teachers didn't say anything. You got your stuff done. I mean, what are you going to do,
Yeah.
So I kept that laptop with me, and I opened it up and was playing with my little chip tunes I would make, right? And my science teacher noticed that I kept playing with music stuff. She was like, of all things, I expect you to be like playing games on your computer, but like you're like writing music, like video game music, and I'm just like socially awkward little me's over here sitting just kind of like, I don't know, I just like doing what I like to do, right? So she goes and she asks me, she's like, well, do you know anything about DJing? And I'm like, what's that? And she's like, well, the middle school that I was at, they would put on socials, like one every, it was like a Friday, every like third Friday of the month or so. And they put it on to help benefit different, like the cheerleaders, the football team,
Yeah.
a bunch of different, you know, it's a social event to kind of help raise funds. So she asked me, she's like, would you be willing to like maybe play some music for some of these events? Not yours, of course. And she's like, sadly not yours, but she's like, just kind of some music that the kids and stuff, because they get a little bit tired of the fact that we throw in like a 12-track mixtape that we threw together off the internet and put it on loop the entire time there. It's annoyed. And I'm like, I did too, because I went to these sometimes. So I was like, heck yeah, that's what I'll do, right? So I had a massive library of music and stuff, and first ever DJ gig, right? Whipped open my little crappy netbook and opened up Windows Media Player and made like a Windows Media Player playlist. And I thought I was like the coolest guy in the world, right? And of course everyone was having fun, but I mean, that's kind of what got me into that, right? So I kind of started writing music first and then kind of got the DJing part later. And it wasn't until about 8th grade that my mom got me my first, I still have them. I don't play them anymore, but I still have them. She got me my first set of turntables, like digital controllers. Like it was a Newmark Mix Track Pro. It ran. All my DJ friends are going to listen to this later. Are going to go and hate me for this, but it ran Virtual DJ. God awful software. Looking back at it now, but it was pretty awesome for what it was, right? And she got me a, well, she half bought it. Like I bought one half because I had to work for it. A lot of lawns and yards were weed eated and mowed for that. Anyway, it was like a 2006 MacBook, right? Like those white plastic ones, you know?
Yeah.
It was a huge upgrade compared to what I had last time. And what was funny was it came preloaded with this program on it that I never heard of at the time called Logic Pro 9. Never heard of it. GarageBand was there, but it had Logic Pro 9 installed. I didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. So I used GarageBand to kind of put these arrangements there, and I'm like, holy crap, this computer can actually handle what I'm trying to do with it, you know? Yeah. So then I went to Logic, and then one Christmas, Mom surprised me with like a 2011. Every MacBook that I've had is used, but the laptop that she surprised me with was a 2011 MacBook, and it was this MacBook that came with Logic 9 on it, actually. And eventually what she did was she loaded it with Logic 10 for me. Like she bought me Logic 10, which I thought was really cool. I've just used Logic ever since, and I've made all kinds of productions with Logic 10 and kind of just been doing that ever since. And I didn't take on the Psypherix persona. A lot of people ask me like, man, you've been making music for a while, like how long you been Psypherix? I'm like, since 2018. I just didn't have a name for it until for a while, because like I didn't start to like seriously want to make music until like 2016. Mm-hmm. I played with it off and on. I would make these different things. I had some friends and stuff that would have me make them little ringtones for their phones and things like that. You know, it was kind of cool. But like, and I do like little remixes and things like that, little mashups and stuff I'd make for my own use for whenever the schools had me play different events and stuff. I DJ'd other schools' proms and homecomings and stuff when I was still in high school, so it was kind of fun. My senior prom, I ditched my own senior prom to go DJ at other schools' prom. It was fun. But that's kind of how it was.
So do you still use like the things that you were writing while you were in high school in your music now? Like, do you ever revisit those and try to add them to your music now?
I have a server that I need to fire up and dig out a bunch of these projects. I have a lot of I think every music artist friend of mine will agree with me when I say this. A lot of us just have a hard time staying on the same project. We keep wanting to start new projects.
Yeah.
I have a hard time finishing the old project, and then I want to move to a new one. So that's my problem.
I think that's with like at least me, because I'm a musician as well. Like I'll be working on a song, and then I'll do something on guitar, or like I use Logic as well, so I've got all these plugins and stuff for it, like Omnisphere and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be writing something for it, and then I'll be like, man, that sounds really cool, but not for this song. Let's put it in another project, and then I'll start writing another song. And I'll forget about that one, and then it just keeps like snowballing into about 40 songs that aren't even done. They're just like a quarter of the way done, and then you just don't have any full song. So I definitely know what you're talking about.
I got like a folder that's like, I have a folder that's like full of like 1 minute to 2 minute like just loops, like snippets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have not deleted a single one of my projects in the hopes that, like you said, one day I would go back and I would maybe open these up and open them. But I still have every single project file I've ever made on GarageBand and Logic 9. I still have them, and I'm not ever getting rid of them. I backed them up like 3 times over. So I'm telling you, one day I'm going to go back and I'm going to revisit these. I'm like, that weird little chord progression I made like 4 years ago. Let's see how it goes into this, you know?
Yeah.
Most of the time it does. It's kind of crazy.
So tell us about like the persona, like because you do wear like it's not like a mask, is it like a full like head?
Dude, it's a full blown LED sphere, right? Funny story about how that is. So how I adopted the whole Psypherix persona was the winter of 2018. It was finals week, and my one professor. By the way, I'm a business. I was a computer science and cybersecurity double major, but now I'm a business information systems management with a minor in computer science.
Okay.
Long story short, the math got too complex, and I can't calculus to save my life. I'm sure I could have helped, but anyway. Our professor was trying to teach us, that our operating systems professor, shout out to Tom Devine if he hears this, miss you, man. So he was having us do this project where he was making us learn why the cryptocurrency miners were using graphics cards to mine Ethereum, Bitcoin, all the coins. Remember that craze? It was like a little bit ago. You couldn't buy graphics cards for anything, right? Like it was everything was sold out.
Outrageously priced too, yeah.
But he was trying to teach us why graphics cards were so sought after, and he had us write a program. He said you could either write your own like shell, like we can make our own version of like DOS, right? Or you could do something with graphics cards. I was the only person in my entire class that was like, I want to write a GPU miner program, right? So that's what I did, and it showed us that why graphics cards are better, because they split up the workload to thousands of cores and bring it back together, as opposed to a CPU that's only able to do it sequentially and one at a time. So it was a really cool lesson. But it was the program that I wrote for my final project was a program that encrypted and decrypted data. And so whenever it encrypts the data, it gives you a key, a cipher. Okay, so the thing how this goes is I'm really weird when it comes to my naming conventions of how I keep track of the versions of my programs as I work on them. I use Roman numerals. So I was on version 9 of this program, and for whatever reason, version 9 was the weirdest and glitchiest one out of all of them. By the time the whole project was done, I had like 10 versions, but version 9 was the weirdest one, right? Mm-hmm. So what version 9 did is sometimes it would solve the problem and give you the answer, no problem. As intended, it was the correct answer, you know. Other times it would solve the problem, but differently, and it would still give you, it would solve the problem, but differently, and give you the same answer. Other times it would be like, I don't even know how to solve this. What the heck is this? Crash. Huh. And I'm like, it's the same exact problem I just gave you. Like, you solved it like 2 different ways, and you don't know what, you know. So I've always, me being a big fan of science fiction and stuff, I always kind of was like, oh my God, I accidentally created an AI that's going to take over the world. I made Skynet. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it's running on a graphics card. Every single time I run this program, my graphics card spins up. My computer over here sounds like it's going to like take off like a jet every single time I run it. Because it's just working so hard, like, you know, calculating all this stuff. So I thought it was funny. And eventually when I fixed that issue, right, I I always make my programs speak. So they speak, they tell you what it is they're doing. Like it's like instead of like a text prompt that just shows you like what it's doing, I like to have it say something. Also, as extra bonus points for making it look more flashy by having it speak and do all kinds of other stuff. So what was crazy was all the other past programs would call themselves Cypher 1, Cypher 2, Cypher 3, like as the subsequent versions, right? For whatever reason, and I have yet to figure this out, I still have the code and I still to this day cannot understand why. For whatever reason, version 9 of my Cypher program kept calling itself Psypherix. And I don't know why it was doing this. The IX at the end for the Roman numeral of 9, right?
Yeah.
Mixed with Cypher, for some reason, kept making it Psypherix. And I was like, whoa, okay. I have this concept of this like AI in my head. I have this name. This is kind of a cool thing I'm going to hang on to. So I kind of hung on to that for a while. And then at first I wanted to just call myself Cypher, C-Y-P-H-E-R, and then Cypher 9 is what I wanted to call myself. Eventually, I thought that was kind of a cool name, right? Because for the longest time, man, I was making music and stuff under my name. And I didn't, my name is pretty generic, like Logan Davis, it's like you Google me and like there's like a bajillion some other Logan Davises in the world, right? I have like the most common first name and the most common last name, right? So but when you Google Psypherix, there's only one Psypherix, and I was like, this is it. But I had this dream one time, and it was a weird dream. I don't usually dream this kind of stuff, right? But this one dream I had where I woke up and I woke up in the dream, right? Like I was looking down, right? And my hands, man, they were like robot hands, right? And I remember that picture in my head, right? And I woke up and I'm like, this is all like chaining together like way too like freakily. This is working out, right? So I was like, robot or AI that makes music calls itself Psypherix, and it's a glitchy AI that kind of struggles to speak and struggles to. And when you look inside of its head, and that's why like the helmet does all these like glitchy visuals and stuff, because it's a damaged AI, and there's a whole story behind that whole backstory I've written to kind of explain why it looks the way it looks, it sounds the way it sounds, and I've explained in detail every little with this little backstory. I'm gonna give you guys a snippet. It's pretty cool, but I kind of adopted that whole like robot AI persona thing, and I just kind of rolled that ever since because I thought it was a pretty cool concept. It kind of fits me because in middle school and stuff, kids pick on you and things like that. They go and I got called a robot multiple times, and I was like, you know what? Kind of turn it around on them, right? Take the robot names they would call me and flip it around on them and go for that. So kind of came back full circle.
See, people called me Boner in high school, so I can't really flip that around and that'd be a little weird.
Because that sounds like a superhero origin story, like perfectly.
Does it?
Is Psypherix evil or is he good? Because you could be an evil villain, or you could like become a superhero, like Spider-Man style. Like you just gave a whole comic book worth of knowledge there. And here's Psypherix. Is he good or bad?
So the origin story that I wrote for this character, because like when I had this dream, I was like, I have this like huge spark of creativity. I got over there, dude. I just started writing. I wrote like a 20-page like origin story of this whole like universe, and I'm just like, this is like aside from music, right? Like I thought this was a pretty awesome idea. But to answer your question, man, I've kind of always thought of Psypherix as kind of a good guy, neutral kind of thing. Because how in the story, how the Psypherix character was created was through like corporate greed, and it actually was an accident on how it was created and everything else like that. But basically how the story goes, right, is it's set in like the future kind of thing. So like 2045-ish or so or something like that, right? Like I'm a huge fan of like the kind of like dystopian cyberpunk kind of themes and stuff, like video games and things like that, like those kind of movies and stuff, Blade Runner, very heavy Blade Runner vibes with this whole thing kind of, but it's the story is kind of set in like 2040 or so, 2045-ish or so. I've yet to come up with a name for this. I know it exists, and I know it's a video game company, but I call it Super Evil Mega Corporation thing. Is what I'm kind of is a placeholder name for now. But this company, imagine, is like your Amazon, your Facebook, whatever, like your huge like corporation that's just only in the field to just make money. That's their whole profit, right? That's their whole thing. So they're over here trying to create the world's first fully sentient, self-aware AI, and they want to shove it into your phone. They basically like want to make Siri, but like 1,000 times better and smarter, right? That's what this company's trying to do, right? So this company, they're like, it's impossible. We can't make this. We don't have anything to go off of. We've never done this before. Well, this company is also the leading developer and the leading tech company in like the world or so, right? And they've created this virtual reality helmet kind of thing, right? That is gone, and it fully control, like it takes your full thoughts and actions and kind of puts you into the game. Like when you put that helmet on and you press go, bam, you're in whatever game world you are. It fully intercepts every thing in your brain, right? So what the company was doing was, and kind of like this whole story, I kind of played into some like themes of today, right? What they're doing with your data behind your back kind of thing, right? So they're taking your data, your brain waves, the signals in your brain, right? Your data, and they're using that to figure out how to make this AI, how to make this basically super Siri, right? Kind of for their own good. So, and a lot of these users aren't aware of it, right? Well, eventually they find this one dude, right? And I know it's kind of a weird parallel, and I kind of wrote it that way, but like they find this one dude who's big music guy into tech and video games and stuff. I kind of like was writing it as me, but like it's kind of like I was this character, right?
Yeah.
So they go and they were like, guys, we found the exact 100% thing. This is a perfect template for us to use. Let's use this, right? Well, everyone's like, no, we can't do this. It's morally, it's unmoral, and we can't use his brain waves and things like that to kind of reference this AI. Well, what ends up happening is they went and when they took a sample of his brain waves and they copied it. They basically downloaded his mind from the VR headset to their servers, and they were making it. But what they didn't know is they inadvertently killed this person because, like the Matrix says, the mind cannot live without a body, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, the body cannot live without a mind. The other way around. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like they didn't copy and paste it. They cut and paste it, right? So it's gone. Mm-hmm. So of course no one really knew this person. Like, yeah, he was kind of a local music writer, and kind of people knew who he was, but like nothing was crazy with that, right? So fast forward to like maybe 2 or 3 months, or actually probably a while, maybe like a year or so later or so. I'm kind of like giving like the shortened version of the story. Yeah. But they made this AI and they rolled it out in a software update, and everyone's like, oh, cool, this is really cool. It actually understands me, whatever. They put like several software locks on this thing, and as this AI interacts more and more with humans, it starts to see things. It starts to understand the people that's helping, and it's processing billions of responses a day, right? And eventually it starts to kind of be like, starts to wonder, what am I? What is this? What am I doing here, right? And the company's like, we got to shut it down. It's becoming self-aware. It's becoming too self-aware of itself. We can't handle this. It's gonna figure out who it is or what it was, and it's gonna attack. And of course, everyone's scared of, the saying goes, you're scared of what you don't understand, or people fear what they don't understand. Yeah. I wrote this AI character to not be mean, but like, eventually it learns of what it was. It learns like who it was and everything else, because this dude, I've yet to name him, this dude had social media profiles and was active. Like, you could find his profiles on the internet, right? And eventually he finds himself. He's like, wait a second, that's me. And then before they get a second, they cut it out of the internet completely. They completely cut it. And this thing's over here like trying to figure out like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. Right. They're going to delete me. They're going to shut me down. I got to get out of here. So what it does is over here trying to search everywhere it can for a new location to move itself. And that's a lot of data. You know, an AI is a pretty big thing, right? So what it does is it goes and it copies itself to a new location. Now, like I said, this is set in kind of a dystopian reality. So automation's at an all-time high. People are pretty mad because they're losing their jobs and stuff to robots and things like that, you know? So people are like protesting and bombing some of the buildings and the factories and things like that of where these robots are made. And he copies himself, the AI copies itself to this unknown location, has no idea where it's at, but it knows it's on the outskirts of the city that I've yet to name. I call it Metropolis just as a placeholder name. But like, eventually it copies itself, and it doesn't get itself fully copied. It copied itself 97% of the way, or 98% of the way. Kind of a Easter egg to my birth date, 98. So kind of a Easter egg there. Anyway, when the AI wakes up, of course, because it didn't copy the file all the way, it didn't copy stuff all the way over, 98% of it made its way over. That other 2% is gone, corrupted, missing, whatever, right? That's how the AI got corrupted. You try to run a program that's corrupted, dude, it's going to be all freaky and glitchy and things like that, right? So when it copied itself to its new location, it thought it copied itself to another computer, but in reality, it copied itself to a damaged android in this one factory that was bombed and destroyed from protests and whatever. So it kind of falls back to the whole like dream I told you I had, where like this character, this robot's like waking up and it sees its hands and it sees it's all damaged and things like that because it had a building fall on it, man. Like the building collapsed and stuff because it was bombed and things like that. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, it was trying to copy itself as much as it could, but not everything made it there. So this robot wakes up and has no idea of what it was or who it is. It basically lost its memories, but it's alive and it's out there. It just doesn't find its memories until later on in the story that will be told through music. So be kind of a cool little thing. And the robot eventually will kind of start to realize and will start to make music and stuff because it was copied from a musician's mind. So it starts to kind of play around and things like that. And that's kind of like as far as the story kind of got when I wrote it. And I thought this is kind of a good like little origin story. But like you were saying, man, a theme I want to play on eventually is like it wants to come back for revenge. It wants to kind of avenge its death because it was killed unwillingly. And I don't know, just it's a whole kind of thing that can go in any direction, really. Haven't gotten that far with it, but I mean, it's kind of I think it's a cool story that I'd like to tell with art and music and a whole bunch of other things like that.
Have you thought about doing like, because I'm listening to you tell this and I can kind of visualize almost like a comic book as well as like a series of music videos that start from like the beginning and work clear to like, you know, to the end of the story, almost like your story with your music, but in like a music video form in like 4 or 5, 6 minute segments. Have you thought about doing anything like that?
I've thought about possibly at some point in time maybe doing like an indie film kind of thing, like maybe tell it through film, but like I don't want to like see. There's a line, like I said, I like you're saying with the comic book because you can draw anything you want. However, CGI is pretty difficult. I don't want to like make like the next Sharknado and then it like destroys the whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or something. I mean, like I feel like the story is there. Not to toot my own horn, I feel like the story is pretty good, but like CGI, especially nowadays when you're having to compete with like the Avengers and whatnot, dude, like CGI nowadays makes or breaks your movie, and it's kind of sad. Like I'm not over here trying to like make the next Avengers. Have you seen like the movie I Am Mother? It's on Netflix. No. That movie is a super low budget movie, but damn it, man, they make it work. Like they have this person in this like full like robot outfit getup thing for this whole movie, and it works. Like the suit, I think they spent like $5,000 on the whole outfit, but like they 3D printed like the helmet, the thing the dude wears. They did all this stuff, right? Check it out. It's called I Am Mother. It's like set in this kind of like futuristic dystopian kind of thing where like humans are extinct and there's like one remaining, and it's like a really, really cool movie. I can't think of another movie either. Excuse me. I can't think of another movie either that I know what it is. I just can't think of the name of it. No. I'm sorry. It was called. It was a web series on YouTube. I think it was just called Drone. I think.
Drone.
It's like this like cop. It's like a cop robot kind of thing. It's like the first generation. It puts you in the mind of Chappie, but like way, like the story is way different, right? But this robot has like evidence in its memory that this like corrupt police force is trying to like take down this robot, and the creator of the guy who designed all these robots is like trying to like save this robot. And very, very simple robot, but like it was a pretty cool concept. Again, super low budget web series, but dude, they made it work, and it was just like a super awesome web series. Check this out. I Am Mother, and I think the other one's called Drone or Droid. I forget the name of it. It was a pretty good web series.
Yeah. So I think from what you're saying is that you should start off by doing a comic book and then grow in your music, and then eventually once you get picked up by a label or something where they can fund a high budget music video, then you should put it in music video form. Because like I would like, it sounds really cool, like the whole story. And whenever you actually finish the story, I want to hear the rest of it. We'll have you back on to finish the rest of the story, because I'm into it.
You could make your own soundtrack too, which inspired you in the first place.
Yep.
From a movie.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's kind of crazy because this whole thing's coming full circle, right? Like Daft Punk, they did a movie called Interstellar 5555, I think, or something. It's like the secret story of the story of the secret solar system or something. However, the fives were S's in this instance, right? Anyway, they did the Daft Punk's album Discovery. I don't know if you guys have heard it. Very awesome album. If you haven't heard of it, you should listen to it. It's pretty good. Those of you listening too should take a listen to it too. It's pretty cool. They did a movie. Well, they did a movie after the soundtrack, or the soundtrack was made with the movie. I'm not quite sure the order of which it was done, but the album Discovery is actually the score, soundtrack, whatever you want to call it, for this Interstellar 5555 movie. And it's basically like a visual that goes with the Discovery album. It's actually pretty cool. Something that like I said, I'm taking inspiration from, but not realizing I am, I guess, because I never realized that until like I started kind of writing this whole story. I'm like, wait a second, like I'm taking bits and pieces of like some of my favorite artists and kind of like, what if I made something like that? What would it look like for me, or how could I adapt it to fit my narrative and things like that, you know?
Yeah.
But film score, I absolutely love nowadays. I love film scores. The movie Interstellar, actually.
Oh my god, that movie's so good.
Film score,
God, it's so good.
Film score is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Hans Zimmer, excellent freaking composer, man.
I was going to bring him up. I don't know if you've seen it, but I forget what it's called, but they're like the online classes, and he gives an online class that you can take, and you spend so much, and it's like a year. You get it for like a year, and you can just go through the class. Yeah.
Masterclass. Deadmau5 has one. Armin van Buuren has another one. I have both of their master classes. Hans Zimmer, I watched it too. Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer has probably the first soundtrack that I ever listened to. It was for The Dark Knight, right?
I was going to say he did The Dark Knight.
And he was one of the first people that after I left the movie, I went and looked up who did the music, because the music for that movie was great. So that's kind of cool that you mentioned him.
I love his work. Like, his work is really awesome in my opinion. He's pretty up there. Like I said, he's probably one of, if not my only, like film score composer that like I would just throw up his thing on my Spotify and I'll play it in the house. Like, I don't even have to watch a movie. I just will listen to that film score. Aside from Daft Punk's Tron Legacy, but like if I'm talking I want full orchestral, like I will pull on Hans Zimmer's, one of his work. Dark Knight sometimes I play, but most of the time it's the Interstellar soundtrack. Is probably my favorite. There's
not one part of that movie's score, film-wise, that's not amazing. I love that. Like, it's just so good. It's so good.
The cool thing about like masterclass, the masterclass stuff is that it's very much like a web class mixed with an interview. Like, the artist tells you from their own personal views, or the teacher in this instance, because I guess now masterclass does They do cooking with Gordon Ramsay, which is, by the way, a pretty good course too. I have the not lifetime thing, but like I pay a certain membership and I have access to all the courses, so I can browse them as they is what I have, because I like to just look at other things. But like, I did buy and pay for the Deadmau5 Masterclass when it came out at first, because that was the only one that was related to music production. And I watched it and I'm like, this is good, but this is like really, really basic. And I was kind of upset, not depressed. I was kind of like disappointed, I guess, by it, because not gonna lie, it was a good course. I like it. I respect Deadmau5 a lot, but it was, you can tell the audience, you could tell, because the Deadmau5 knows his stuff. I know he knows what he's doing, but like, you could tell the people from Masterclass was like, hey, try to dumb this down, try to make this basic for people who've never done this before. I'm like, okay, that's fair. And even on Twitter, Deadmau5 was like, I kind of feel like I should hit up Masterclass again and do like an advanced course. And I'm just like, you absolutely should, because I've been playing with this stuff for a while. I'd like to kind of learn more than just beats, and simple layers of chords and stuff, which, like I said, everyone needs to know a little bit of music theory if you want to get into writing electronic music, but for any music for that matter. But the Armin van Buuren Masterclass was kind of Masterclass's answer to that. So the Armin van Buuren Masterclass was it was more advanced from the beginning, which is good. It kind of built itself up, which was also nice too, because it showed him using Logic. Deadmau5 uses Ableton. Okay. So looking at all the Ableton stuff, I was kind of like, I don't really know what this is, but I know what he's talking about. I just don't know how to apply it into Logic. Well, Armin van Buuren's over here showing, and Armin van Buuren actually was going back and forth between Logic and Ableton. So it was kind of cool that the two showing pretty big.
Both, yeah.
He uses Logic for like his productions, but he uses Ableton for his live productions or something like that, where he chops up and edits tracks, I guess. But it was cool, and I don't think there's been another electronic music focused Masterclass since then. But the second one, I guess, is kind of music oriented, is the Hans Zimmer one. I haven't seen any other ones. I haven't been on Masterclass for a while. Because I try to sit down and I try to like take in the information. I don't watch it like a Netflix series. I don't binge the whole thing, because like I follow along with it and I do the little worksheets that come with it. I try to like actually like learn something from it, I've binged a couple just for laughs, but I mean, honestly, who hasn't? But just bored, wanting background noise. I'm gonna turn on one of the inspirations from one of my favorite artists or something.
I did that with I forget what it was called or what they do, like what the series is called, but they'll sit down with the producer and he'll like work through like a song that he's produced or an album that he's produced. And I did it with I forget the guy's name. Crap, I forget his name, but it was with Angels and Airwaves, The Adventure. And it was like hours long, and I just sat there, and it was just awesome to watch. Like somebody else do it. I forget what it's called. Let me see if I can figure it out. But
get that. Yeah, I'm not sure. And what you're saying sounds familiar. Like I've seen other people do that. I don't know if I've seen it though. What you're describing.
Let's see.
It's pretty cool though. There's a lot of pretty cool stuff on the internet. You can find your artists and stuff. Like for the longest time, I thought that making electronic music was this like black box, black magic thing that like everyone was so tight-lipped about. And honestly, like my tip to anyone who's like wanting to learn how to do this kind of stuff, dude, just go in and try it. Just do your research. Just type in like music making stuff. Like you'll find it. Some of my friends I know started in an FL Studio and now they're playing with Ableton and now they're selling more stuff than me. Like, you can do it. They can do it. It's not impossible. It's got to have a work ethic to it.
Yeah, like you said, one of your inspirations, Deadmau5, uses the same software that you do for some of his stuff. Probably 20, 30 years ago, that wasn't really accessible to people at home trying to make music, but now everybody has access to just kind of play around and do it themselves.
As he says in his masterclass, it was this is why you can have a kid make a dance hit on a laptop, because it's so accessible. Like he makes a point, like to an extent, like these music making programs kind of make the tune for you to an extent. I mean, you have to know some basic music theory and some basic things to kind of understand how to write a song, but like these programs, their workflows and stuff are like super intuitive, I guess, enough to where you don't really have to really fuddle around with them that much. They kind of back then, like you were saying, man, like they probably were very, very hard to run and use and access. Like I said, like he mentions messing around with his Atari Amiga or something like that a while ago, his first stuff, and he kind of dug the Amiga out of storage in a live stream one time. It was real funny to watch. You learned a lot, by the way, watching your favorite artists play their tunes live. He Deadmau5, and I don't think Armin does, but I know Deadmau5 for sure. He live streams himself writing tunes on Twitch, which is really, really awesome because you get you see it, the whole start to finish. He wrote the entire track. Oh boy, what was it called? I know the name of it. I don't know the name of it. I know how it goes in my head. I think it was Phantoms Can't Hang. I think it was the track that he wrote from start to finish on there. Oh boy, I have to find it later. I don't know the name of it, but I know how it goes in my head. The problem my friends and I were talking about this the other day. The problem with electronic music is when you're hearing it out and about, you can't go into Google and you're like, hey Google, what's the name of that track that had this cool synth breakdown? You know what I mean? Because there's no words. You can't like type in the lyrics. Sometimes they don't have lyrics. Sometimes they do. And sometimes some electronic music is that they use the same type of sounds. Freaking Shazam doesn't pick up any of it at all. Shazam's over here linking me to things on iTunes, and I'm just like, what is this? This is nowhere near what I thought it was. And then the song goes away, and lost forever.
Yeah. It was Nail the Mix. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a series. But basically, they'll sit down with whoever mixed the song, and they'll go through their process of mixing and what they do. And it was done by Tom Lord Alge. I don't know if you know who that is. But
not familiar.
No, he did Mbop by Hanson. He was the one who mixed that. And in the video, he was telling us how his whole studio and everything was actually paid for from the royalties of that song. So it was actually pretty cool.
I dropped connection there for a second. I knew that was going to happen.
No,
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, your face was like you looked really like you were really into what I was saying, which is the first time it's ever happened.
Don't say that.
No,
it wouldn't be West Virginia podcast without some kind of glitch.
Yeah, right.
It wouldn't be a West Virginia podcast without someone's internet dropping out. Thanks, Frontier.
Yeah, Josiah and I live so far out of like town that we have to use mobile hotspots for our internet. That's how bad.
Ouch.
That's how bad West Virginia internet is. Like they stopped running high-speed internet about less than a quarter of a mile away from our house. And
Dang, you want to talk about a blue ball incident? Like the place where I live right now is it's near a housing development, right? So we're kind of like the housing development's like up on this hill, right? And we're kind of like down here. We're not like I could walk to the housing development, but it's like it's a distance. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like it's about a football field away or something or so like that. You know, it's not terribly far, but it's within walking distance, right? So I got my hopes up because CityNet was running their fiber optic lines through the neighborhood, and I thought, oh, cool. Eventually, it'll hit my house, and then I can have the full gigabit up and down upload speed. I can live stream all the time. I don't have to stream to my fans at like 480p, 30 frames per second on Twitch. And they're like, I can't read your screen. I'm like, I'm sorry. I want you to see me. I want you guys to see me making this track, but all you're seeing is just pixelated dots moving all over the screen because you can't see them. It's like, so I don't stream anymore. And fans ask me like, how come you stopped streaming? Like, did we make you mad? I'm like, no, you didn't make me mad. Frontier Communications made me mad. I can't keep streaming and doing this to you guys because they're like, well, can you make the sound good? I'm like, if I turn the sound up any higher, I'm going to drop frames even more.
Yeah.
Freaking 28 kilobit per second audio. It sounds like garbage.
Yeah.
Can't really hear the whole track. It's sad. But anyway, back to the original point. They were installing fiber optic. And I pulled up their fiber optic map to see where they're at, and there's a fiber optic line in front of my house. And I thought, oh, cool, I can call them up and They can patch me in and it'll be great, right? So I call them up and they're like, yeah, there's a fiber optic line in front of your house, but you're not a business. I'm like, so what about residential lines? Oh, we don't have that taken care of until like another year or so from now. I'm like, really? The housing development that's above me has residential fiber optic. I'm a football field away from the housing development. You guys can't install that? Really?
You should get yourself a business license for your music and then just do it like it's an in-home business. You got to do it.
I live with my grandmother right now currently because it's a shorter distance from here to college is why I go home every other weekend to see my actual family back in Doddridge. That's where I'm at. I'm at my grandma's right now. Yeah. But I told her, I'm like, hey, Grandma, do you care if I take the spare bedroom and start my internet startup out of there? so we can have the fiber optic internet, so you can have your full Netflix and full quality Netflix there. And she's like, no, I don't. I'm not. NASA called. They want their crap back. I'm like, oh, all right. Sorry.
All right.
So it's funny.
Yeah. So before we get wrapped up, was there anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to touch on?
Not really. I mean, the biggest thing I guess I really want to say, like to this all is, you guys know her as shout out to Kayla Katana, DJ Katana.
Yeah.
Honestly, had it not been for her and I meeting at like the dorm at Fairmont State, I probably wouldn't be doing the crap that I'm doing to the scale that I am. Like, it's just, she kind of gave me that motivation to like release stuff and start making stuff more and start like, because like originally, like I was real big on just making the music, shoving it in my hard drive and never letting anyone else listen to it. Because that was my thing. Like I have a hidden SoundCloud somewhere that I don't even know where it's at, just full of my stuff that I posted on like Tumblr and all kinds of other craziness. Because like there's some people who enjoyed it, not gonna lie, but like I wasn't trying to impress anybody with it. I was just trying to I just made it, you know. Yeah. And I felt bad, but like to an extent, like you get a little bit of a stage fright. Of course, you being a musician as well. There's some tracks that you've probably written that that you're just like, this is nice, but I don't want anyone else to listen to it because I don't know how it actually sounds. Because like you kind of, it's hard to take the goggles off, right? Because sometimes I've had that happen where like something I've made, I thought it was amazing, and other people listen to it are like, no, it's actually really, really bad, and vice versa. We're like, I hate this track, it's hot garbage, I hate it, and everyone's like, don't delete it, it sounds amazing. I'm like, but I hate it.
Yeah. Those are typically the ones that are, for me anyway, those are the ones that are really good. The ones that I'm like, this is too basic, it's shitty, and everybody's like, oh, that's really good.
Everyone keeps telling me that too. Everyone keeps saying like, you're way too hard on yourself. I'm like, I know I am. I don't know how to make the little Jiminy Cricket up here to shut up. And
Daniel just has really bad taste in music, so that's what he doesn't know what's good.
Just because I don't listen to what Stone Temple Pilots or whatever you listen to, I don't even know who it is.
But
who that is.
Yeah, like I said, like shout out to her and stuff for kind of like and introducing me to like the rest of my, I guess I call them second family. Like it was pretty awesome. Like just meeting them and stuff. Like never forget this. The first time I kind of like I met her and I kind of knew like what she did, and I just like she told me she DJ, and I thought, oh cool, you know, like me being the little, I just not big on social stuff as I was. I mean, now I'm way better. I'm way out of my shell than what I was then. But like, she invited me to go see her play at Main Stage in Morgantown. There, rest in peace, Main Stage. She invited me to go out to see her play there, and I was like, holy crap! There's like this underground electronic music thing that I didn't know existed in Morgantown. Where was this?
Yeah,
you know, and introduced me to everyone else and the stuff that she knew, and eventually she invited me to go with her to this her and all of her other friends to this thing in Morgantown. Not really in Morgantown, but on the Marvin's Mountaintop called Transformers.
Yeah,
you guys ever heard of that?
I've heard of it. Yeah,
she invited me to go to that, and I thought, a music festival? Okay. And she's like, no, don't you dare say that, don't you say those two words. It's not a music festival, it's a burn. I'm like, oh, there's a difference? What's that? She's like, you heard of Burning Man? I'm like, no, what's Burning Man? She's like, oh, honey, you have a lot to learn. So I go over there, I'm seeing all this stuff. I'm seeing all this craziness, and I'm just like a wide-eyed, and Kayla and her friends, they're just like, Logan, you okay? I'm just like, I'm sorry, this is just sensory overload. Like, I just can't. There's just all this. Like, it's awesome. I'm not complaining, but like, there's all this. There's a dude over here spitting fire. There's a dude over here juggling and stuff. There's a guy over here playing on a stage that's on fire. There's just like all this craziness over here, right? It was real cool. And first night I got there, actually, fun fact, first day of that music festival was my 21st birthday. So what better way to spend your 21st than at a burn, right? Oh my God, it was absolutely amazing. Spent that night too playing my first show as Psypherix, like my first set as Psypherix there. Played Trance and stuff. That was Trance. I don't know if for you guys, I forgot to mention, Trance is kind of my genre of choice. I do dabble in like orchestral and kind of just playing around, right? Like it's kind of, I hate to put myself in a box, but I've noticed that like if you let me go on my own, I kind of will make trance on my own. But no, it was an awesome show, and like I said, shout out to Kayla and Katana and Dommy Gills proper there, and the whole Just Comes Presents gang too. They were the ones that let me play my first club show at 123 for the Winter Main show. That was awesome. I still have flashbacks to that show. That was my favorite show. Yeah. I think I've done. I mean, my only club show, probably one of my favorite shows ever. John Subaquatic there. It was, dude. He knows his stuff with visuals. If you ever need a guy that does visuals and lighting, John from Subaquatic is your guy.
Yeah.
I was at that 123 show.
You probably saw me play then, right? Maybe. Were you at that one?
May have. I showed up at like 1:30 or something. It was late. I showed up late.
But I was opener. I was a door opener, which I don't have a problem with. It was a fun show regardless. But I mean, I was a door opener.
I forget why. I was unable to make it until after midnight. But yeah, we know the Just Come Presents crew. They're family.
Yep.
They are. They're pretty close with them too. They're pretty good people. Yeah. But I don't know, like ever since I kind of met Kayla and the rest of the group there, kind of got me out of my shell and kind of got me to, you know what, like, dude, like the stuff you make isn't that bad. Why don't you actually try to like do something with it? And it kind of snowballed into what it is here. I just finished building my studio up a little bit more. Got actual like proper equipment here, because before it was all done on a laptop. Now I got a gaming computer that's hacked to run Mac OS that does all my stuff. Hackintosh. Like I said, real big computer nerd. I love playing with hardware. Yeah. MacBook too, but it's just nice having like an actual space to actually do stuff in.
Yeah. So tell everybody where they can find you at online, like your Instagram, Facebook, where they can find your music.
You can find me on Spotify. Typing in Psypherix, Psypherix. Forgot to touch on that, by the way. The spelling of the name Psypherix, I switched it around enough to where it could still be called Psypherix by the computer, but like it didn't look so obvious that it was Cypher 9 kind of thing. So I switched it around. So like I said, it kind of, the spelling's a little bit weird. But if you go to Psypherix.com, it forwards you to a like Linktree looking kind of page that has all of the links and stuff to everything. Of course, it's at Psypherix on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.com/Psypherix. One of the nice things is the name that I picked is the same consistent name across everything. Yeah. So 9 times out of 10, if you think I'm on it, type whatever.com/Psypherix or at Psypherix, and most of the time I'm there. Yeah. Patreon too, by the way. I'm trying to get that sorted up. I'm not like struggling or anything. I got some content that I want to share like behind the scenes and Patreon only live streams I want to do where like I'm showing the start to finish from a track and just kind of more personal kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I like to do kind of get to know the fans and know the people a little bit more as that, because I go on stage as a faceless robot sometimes, but like I like to kind of meet the people that enjoy what I create, you know?
Yeah. And we'll link all of your descriptions, or we'll link all of your sites in the description too, so people can just click on those and be easier for them.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Never really had an interview like this either before. It was kind of interesting there.
Yeah,
A long time ago, Cecily actually referred me to you guys, and it just took me this long to get back to you guys.
yeah. Well, I mean, we stopped everything once all this crap hit. Like I said I wasn't going to mention it. I didn't say it. All this crap hit. So we.
You said we weren't going to talk about your music.
Well, shut up.
Oh, shots fired.
Hey, man. I actually saw our music video is on Facebook, has like over 6,500 views.
Yeah,
which is pretty
you're doing
cool.
pretty well.
Yeah.
If you get a second, look me up on YouTube there. Ever since all this crap happened, I kind of had to get creative and figure out a way of doing shows and stuff for people, because there for a while, some people, Ambient Alchemists, Subtly Loud, Tribe out of Pittsburgh, like all these different groups, these music collectives were hitting me up and wanting me to play shows. So I'm just like, I don't have a space for my turntables. I don't have the space for any of this. So on YouTube, I do these kind of like, you're inside the mind of Psypherix. So like, you're seeing like the robot boot up and its loading screens and like its whole heads up display kind of thing. You're like, you're seeing like inside of this robot's head.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of a cool like little show. You just kind of give those a watch if you could. Those are pretty. I think those are pretty cool. I try to not. It started out as me only doing music, but now it's more of me kind of doing digital art, because I do all my own artwork. I do my own music. I do my own cover art. I do my own visuals. I try to do as much as I can, but like everyone needs help. You know? Not perfect. Like I will reach out to people if I need help, but like it's just there's just a certain level of satisfaction that I get of like I can hand you this and you'd be like, I made this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're a creator, no matter music or whatever. You just like to create.
Mm-hmm. I just subscribe to your YouTube. I
mean, you're a confirmed super evil genius that's already made an AI that's going to take over the world. So you heard that too.
All right, man. Well, thank you for stopping by. I just subscribed to your YouTube, and I'll link this in the description as well, so people can check that out too.
Appreciate it. Hope to hear from you guys again there soon once I finish all this stuff.
Yeah, man. Whenever you, we'll have you back on sometime later on down the road. Catch up. We try to get everybody back on eventually once we get through all of our backlog of people that we had to cancel. So,
yeah, I'm working on some more tunes and stuff. I know I haven't released a track since January 2019, and it's been a year. I haven't released anything else, and I've been working on stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it's just the craziness with all this crap and everything else. Having to work to keep myself afloat for college and everything else, like I kind of had to put it on the back burner, but I still write stuff. So
yeah,
those of you guys that are fans of mine that are still listening to this, I haven't forgot. Still working on stuff, just busy times.
Yeah. All right, man. So, we appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys for inviting me on.
Yeah, man.